I'm John Cicott, executive editor of the Brewer Magazine, and welcome to another edition of the Brewer Magazine podcast. Make sure you're liking and subscribing us either on YouTube or Spotify, wherever you're listening. Of course, you can also see the podcast at brewermag.com, where we're updating business resource information almost every single day for you to help with your brewery's journey. And speaking of your brewery's journey, how's it going for you? Do you feel stuck in finding growth and going forward? Well, Jake Lohse of Presidential Brewing definitely did. They founded the brewery in Portage, Michigan, outside of Kalamazoo in 2019. And he admitted to me that the first 4 years were really rough as a home brewer turned professional brew pub owner. And he even admits he was at a point where he wasn't being good at his job and he had to make a change. So, realizing those errors and working on correcting them, of course, were important parts. And he took that as a lesson to be able to share others. If he can help others be able to skip those rough patches in any way, he wanted to be able to do that. And in October, he released a new book chronicling these aspects to help those starting or even those that are been kind of stuck in a low gear, to help boost their growth strategies. And we welcome in Jake Lohse of Presidential Brewing. Jake, thanks so much for joining us here on the Brewer Magazine podcast.
Yeah, excited to be here. Thanks for having me, John.
Yeah, obviously, the premise is that you've written a book, but there's obviously a lot of life lessons that came before you came in with Shifting Gears, which about 2 months now has been out, right?
Yeah, we released the book October 10th, and that was after being open for about 5.5 years as a brewery. So definitely lots of life lessons learned along the way.
And it's called Shifting Gears. Say the whole name of it: Shifting Gears, the ultimate roadmap to crafting your legendary brewery or restaurant. And little backstory: Jake and I talked a few weeks ago at the brewery, Presidential Brewing in Portage, Michigan, just outside of Kalamazoo, and had an opportunity. So if you're at brewermag.com, you can read a little bit about kind of the backstory on how the book was written. As like you finally were it's hunting season right now. You were out hunting. You had some time to think, and it came into your head like, how do I share the lessons that you learned since opening in 2019, and be able to kind of step things out. And some of those things are obviously very fundamental for almost any brewery owner that didn't have any experience going in, kind of like yourself, a home brewer that had worked your way up. You were talking about starting in neutral, shifting into first, shifting into second. But some of those things, obviously, a lot of the people listening to the podcast, watching the podcast, they've been there and they've struggled and they understand those struggles. And I'm sure it's cathartic to be able to like read what you went through, because everyone has gone through those. But when we talked at the brewery, you said one of the most important things is that it's really hard to shift from second into third. What is shifting second into third at in the brewery, and what you talk about in your book all about?
Yeah, so this whole book is laid out into all these different gears, and second gear is really just opening your brewery. And it's crazy to think that that would be such an early gear, but I think that the point that I want to drive home is that that shouldn't be the ultimate destination. Being open is not enough. There's a lot more yet to come after you get open. And one of the things that I see a lot of brewers stuck in, we have this pattern where we make it into second gear. We've finally gotten open. We feel like we've gotten there. And then what we do is we just kind of work ourselves to death. We work 80 hours a week. We feel like we're kind of spinning tires. And when you think about a car, if anybody's ever driven a stick shift car, second gear, you can go a decent speed, maybe 40 miles an hour, but your engine is running at a really, really high rate in order to go that speed. So you're not really moving all that fast, but you are moving and you're running really hard just to try to achieve that. And the shift from second into third gear is such a key one because you finally get to take some of the pressure off of you as the only person that can make this thing work. You take some of the heat off of you, you spread that out to others, and all of a sudden, you actually get to run at a lower speed while your business, your brewery, gets to take off and go faster than it's ever gone before. And that's such a key moment that I think a lot of us have a hard time getting to. And
Mhm.
so a lot of why I wanted to put this down on paper is to show people like, hey, how do we get out of this place where I'm running myself ragged week in and week out and not feeling the benefits as a business?
Yeah, and I know when we talked, originally, trust is such a thing, and I liked your analogy. I mean, we trust people. We say we don't trust people, but we do. Like, and what is that analogy that you shared before, and why it is blows your mind open when you think about it.
Yeah, when you think about really the key thing to getting shifted into third gear is beginning to turn over your business to people and processes. That's really what that whole gear, that whole chapter is about in the book. And one of the things that people would tell you keeps them from turning their business over to other people is they say that I can't trust anybody to do it as well as I do, which is a fair thing. This is a really important brewery. You've worked hard to build this.
Yeah.
And I just kind of point out the fact that we trust a lot of people to do a lot of things that are important every day in our lives. The last time you took an Uber ride, you trusted somebody to get you from point A to point B without killing you. The last time you went to the doctor, you trusted somebody to tell you exactly what you need to do to get your body back in the right spot. You're trusting people every
Mhm.
day with important things in your life, and your brewery absolutely should be important to you, but learning to trust people is such an important skill in order to make that transition from second gear where you're doing everything to third gear where you've got people helping you.
Yeah. Did you have trust issues? Do you have like, was it something that you had to teach yourself, or was it something that you just had to realize, yes, this is what the next step is for me? I mean, was that a tough lesson?
Yeah, I think that I was probably wanted to be willing to trust. And then you get there and you find that maybe it's harder to do than you had anticipated. I remember times where, I want things done a certain kind of way. And so in order to turn things over to people, you need to give them enough authority to have it fully turned over to them. And there are things like as a business owner, there are certain things that are kind of like cornerstone. This piece really matters to me. And I think one of the temptations that we fall into is deciding that everything really matters to us. And that's probably the thing that I had to learn is that maybe not every little thing about how the business runs is truly that critical to me. But there are a handful of things that really do matter that I need to make sure go this way. For example, the beer recipe needs to be brewed the same way every time. That's critical. If I want to have a consistent product, the recipe needs to look this way. We need to make it the same way every time. Mash temp is always the same. That matters. Where we source the rye malt from, a little less important. So it's kind of learning to trust and let go of. I don't really have to know exactly how every step of the way happens. There's a few key pieces that are really critical that we're going to make sure that we hold on to.
Sure. And you guys have the restaurant aspect as well. And I know that, that's obviously a different, almost an entire different business. How do you, especially nowadays where it seems food is becoming such a key component in what a consumer determines to be able to go out to enjoy themselves and to maybe go to a brewery? How has that side of it become so important for you guys in building that trust and having a kitchen staff that, can help your brand grow as a brewery itself?
Yeah, I mean, I'd first start by saying how important food has been for our business. If it hadn't been for the restaurant side, I couldn't think that we would have done well to survive 2020. We were really fortunate to have a restaurant to kind of help us prop up sales with takeout and to go and all that. But even still, like post 2020, having the restaurant it's 50% of my sales at the brewery.
Mhm.
So having food has been really critical. And it's the hardest part of the business, if I'm being honest. It is a difficult, challenging industry to work in, and there's ways to do it. But again, you kind of had to decide. For me, I had to decide which pieces can I let go of, and some of that was creativity within the menu. At the end of the day, what I needed to do is to kind of find the key people that can take things over and say, "Hey, here's the direction we want to go. What I want is a category on the menu called tacos. You fill it with however you would like to fill it, but I want tacos on the menu." So that's just, maybe an example of letting go a little bit. Another thing that I do is, I don't mind my team. We come up with new specials every single week. And all I tell them is I have two rules about each special that we make. We have to have everything fully priced out, and I need a description so that I can market it. If I have those two things, we're good. You can come up with basically whatever kind of special you would like. But those are the two things. So again, you establish this one little thing really matters. The rest of them, I can let go of that and turn that over to you and let you make a call on how this needs to look.
Nice. So when did you feel that you were moving yourself from that second gear into third gear as you describe in the book? I mean, how long was that process? And what did you see yourself like when you were writing the book, figure out, oh, this is when we did this? I mean, kind of what brought you to that thing of second into third gear?
Yeah, I think that like a stick shift vehicle, you can actually be making progress and then you need to slow down. And I think that we were probably in that first year of being open, working on that transition into third gear. COVID hit, everything kind of changed, and we had to completely change our business for a little while, and so we shifted down. Um, then there was this kind of rebuild period, and there was this time that we had literally zero kitchen staff because of an absence of process, because of an absence of, um, you know, there were people that we didn't have people knocking down the door to work in a kitchen anymore, and so we had run out of people, and we didn't have any process on how to cook any of our food, and that was kind of like that was when I realized I was in second gear again and
Hmm.
I had to put it all back together. I didn't know anything about running the kitchen at the time. I'd previously had people that were running the kitchen that I was kind of trusting a little bit, but did not give them enough of the things that really mattered to me. So it probably gave maybe too much authority to the initial guard. And when we got to that place where there was nobody left, it was just me and I had no idea how to do anything. So rebuilding from there, I kind of was able to pick and choose. These are the key things that really mattered to me. And again, in food, it had to do with pricing the item. That was a key step that we were not doing before. And part
Hmm.
of pricing an item is having a recipe that we follow every time we make it.
Yeah.
So I ended up in this place where I was kind of having to go through all of that, but then thinking ahead, how do I make sure that, say someday down the road something happens again where labor becomes difficult again, we'll know what we've got to do in the event that that we need to plug somebody into that room that hasn't been in there before. So I think that's probably when I felt like I was making that transition from second into third gear. At the same time, I was also turning over my responsibility as head brewer. I'd hired a new head brewer. And thank goodness I did, because if I hadn't, I would not have been able to help in the kitchen the way that I needed to when things kind of went the way that they did. So with regard to the brewer, there is a hand-holding period where you're showing them this is how I brew my recipes. This is kind of what my inventory system has looked like. This is where I've ordered things from. But little by little, kind of turning things over and giving them fully to him to let him own those processes the way he wants to own them. He's rewritten some of the way that we did CIP. He's rewritten some of the way that we did a lot of our carbonation, and all of it's been for the better of the beer. So one of the things that I think is really hard is to first start maybe turning those things over. But when you
Mhm.
see somebody start to turn in stronger, better results than what you were able to do, it becomes a lot easier. All of a sudden, you're like, oh yeah, I should have done this a long time ago.
Yeah, and I think do you think you see other breweries struggling with that? I mean, yeah, as an owner, you're probably going out, wherever you're traveling to or something, you see those things. Obviously, you don't see the inner workings behind the scenes unless you know them. But do you think that is the biggest struggle that breweries have is being able to understand the need from people that have a specialty or being able to, relieve yourself of some of those duties because it is such a this is what I started, this is my baby.
Yeah, I do think that that's a problem. When you look at in Kalamazoo area, we've got, I think we're down to six breweries now. And when we opened in 2019, I think it was closer to 13 breweries. And a lot of the ones that you look at that have closed are the ones where what I would say are stuck in second gear, where the owner is the operator, where they're the one brewing the beer, they're the one bartending, they're the one serving the tables, they're the one probably cooking your hamburgers. Those are the ones that are most susceptible to economic strife. And it sounds crazy because the payroll at a different place ends up being a lot higher once you fully make that shift into third gear. But when you look at the ones that have not been able to survive around here, it's typically the ones that are stuck in second gear where the owners working 70 hours a week and doing everything and running themselves ragged.
Yeah. Uh, and something like you were able to do that. And I know when we talked before, you said, now I get to focus on the marketing stuff that I'm not brewing, that I'm not cooking, that I'm not, you're still doing some of the other stuff, but marketing is important. And I think sometimes people think they put the cart before the horse and they're marketing themselves almost too much at the beginning. Obviously marketing's a good thing. You got to get your name out there when you first open. But when you talk about your shifting into fourth, what in the book are you talking about, and why is it important to move into that next gear past once you have your establishment of people and process?
Yeah, so the last gear of the book is fourth gear is called paid marketing. And the reason that it's the last gear is because you got to get all of your other ducks in a row first. If you don't have your people and your process lined up before you start trying to market this thing, the reality is that marketing does work. When you get yourself out in front of more people, when you tell more people about things that you're doing, they're going to come and see you. So that's great. The problem is if they come and see an unfinished product, that can be bad. So making sure that you time that correctly, where you start making your heavy investment into marketing, you need to have your feet underneath you before you can do that. That means having people and processes in all of the places in order that you can get your job done effectively. So that's a big part of it is kind of doing things in the right order. But then from there, getting your marketing up to speed, I like to kind of think of it as a faucet. If you pour more dollars into your marketing budget, you're basically opening the faucet, and more people are going to show up to your brewery. So what's nice about this is you can kind of dial in what speed do I need people coming in at? Because if you bring in too many people, maybe you need to cut back on your marketing budget a little bit. That's probably not a problem a lot of people are going to run into. But if you have a confined space, if your parking lot's full every time that you're open, maybe you don't need to spend as much on marketing as somebody that probably is looking at a 30% full tap room every day. So I think that that's kind of a piece of it is thinking of it as a faucet. So you do have some authority and some control over how much result you bring back. Um, but I'll tell you honestly, for me, marketing was something I avoided for a long time. So this is called paid marketing, not just Facebook marketing. And it's
Mhm,
paid marketing for a reason. Facebook is really good for a lot of things, specifically the customers you already have. What
mhm.
it's not super good at is helping you meet new customers,
Yeah.
unless you start getting into the paid advertising. And so that's where, as a business owner that I'd struggled for 4 years, we didn't even make even for the first 4 years. We lost money every year that we were open. And in
Mhm.
year five, I just kind of reached a point where it's like we're good at doing our job, but I can't keep doing it like this. If we're putting in work like this and it's not going anywhere, I'm probably going to call this a dead horse. And we elected that fifth year to just invest heavily into marketing. And even then, I thought investing heavily was going to be $8,000 is what I budgeted for that year. And that was on an average revenue of about 650-ish thousand dollars a year. And I thought $8,000 was a lot of marketing. We ended up getting involved with a marketing firm called Dineline, and $8,000 paid for the first 2 months of marketing. I thought, ouch. But it was kind of my Hail Mary pass. It was either we were going to make things work this year or we were never going to make them work. So I was willing to give it a go. That changed our marketing budget from 8,000 to 40,000, and I was just hoping that that return would show up. And we went from being a $650,000 business to a $960,000 business in one year because of that change in marketing. So huge, huge return on our investment. And it's a scary jump to make, especially when you're a business like I was, where you're losing money year after year. The idea of spending $40,000 when you're not making anything, not super awesome. But I can tell you from experience that Facebook organic marketing is not going to get you the results that you need, especially when you're trying to meet new customers.
Yeah, yeah. And was a lot of the stuff that you learn from what you did, like, to be able to like, if you even bettered it from there and just understanding, like, what works and what doesn't, and does it translate, the way that they started, and what are you doing better? What do you like about the different things you do?
Yeah, one of the things that you're going to find is that as soon as you start feeling some marketing success, you get charged up and you're ready to go find more marketing success.
Yeah,
So some of the stuff for me, I have kind of taken over all of the Facebook marketing that I had sourced out before. So I'm writing my own ad copy and building my own ads. But what's really fun is just kind of learning how to retarget. So now that you've got with technology what it is these days, you can put a Facebook pixel on your website and you can track everything somebody does on your website. So anytime somebody visits a page that's looking at all of my list of different beers, when I have a new beer release, guess which market I'm going to target? I'm going to send this beer release advertisement to anybody that's looked at my beer page already. I want to make sure they see it. So things like that. It's been kind of fun to be able to grow into that, but simultaneously, I've also been really working hard on building our email marketing platform. And so we went from when we started this, probably about 2,000 names. That would be in February of 2023 to 6,000-ish emails now. And it had to do with coming up with unique, cool ways to collect emails. So some of that is we have our Wi-Fi system. It's free for everybody to get logged into, but in order to log into it, you provide your email address, and then you're going to get marketing emails from us.
yeah,
Part of that process is when you sign up for our email list. It's the same email list, but it's just got a lot of sources for how people sign up. But when you sign up, I send you a coupon that gives you any of our beers for $1 in your next visit in the next 7 days. And so that encourages people to come back to us really quickly and try to build that repeat pattern so that somebody's going to be excited and ready to keep visiting Presidential Brewing and making us part of your regular rotation. So the evolution of marketing for me has been a ton of fun to kind of grow into that and start really building return on investment for the work that we've put into building our email list, the work we put into building our Facebook audience. Now we get to capitalize on that and actually bring people into the brewery throughout our slow season all winter long.
very nice. Yeah, and the slow season is on its way, so I'm sure there's a lot of people that are fretting over things. I mean, it's been a scary fall, to see. So, words of encouragement get with that for brewery owners right now. What are like, what's the big fight right now, and how do you hope to combat that, going through what is always one of the slowest parts of a craft brewery's year?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that we do, and I think we do these things really well. One is we're known for having really crazy events. So a couple weeks ago, we're Presidential Brewing Company. Of course, the election, we're going to do something wild. So we did a big event that was basically celebrating the end of election season, and everybody brought in all of their political mail, and each one that they shred got them a discount on their bill. But more than that, one of the things that I think is really important for brewery owners to do this time of year is to give your customers another reason to come back. So when you shredded your pieces of mail, we basically made it so each one was worth 1%. But we would split the number of total pieces up across. You'd get a discount tonight, and then you would get a discount on a return visit sometime later in November. And so those kinds of things are critical for getting people to come back. Another promotion that we're just about to fire up starting on Sunday. It's called Red Envelope. And with this one, it's really kind of cool. We've done this for a few years. We basically fill 500 envelopes with random discounts or goodies or prizes from Presidential Brewing. It could be a beer for $1, a free order of tots, or free ice cream, all the way up to $50 gift cards, $100 gift cards. And one of those envelopes has a $250 gift card in it. So
Wow.
we hand these red envelopes. These are sealed red envelopes We hand these out all through the first couple weeks of December until we run out. And once we hand them to our customers, we tell them you can't open this until January. You have to bring the sealed envelope back to us in January, and then you can find out what's inside of it. And oh, by the way, one of these has a $250 gift card in it. So the key is like I'm getting people in to come and pick up their envelope in the first place in December. I'm getting another return visit then in January, and it's kind of the fun of waiting to find out, man, maybe I'm the lucky one that got the $250.
Yeah.
We've had, I think every year that we've done it, we've had the $250 one redeemed. But you get a number that probably go unredeemed. We get usually about an 80% return rate on our red envelopes. So it's a great strategy if you guys are coming into slow season right now. I love doing this. We give them to our customers and we say, this is our thanks to you, our Christmas gift to you. Thanks for being such a great loyal customer of ours. And I hope you get something great. We'll see you again in January. And it's been a really successful program. So looking for this time of year, how do you give people a reason to come back and see you within the next few weeks?
Yeah, awesome. That's a great idea, and hopefully people pick up on that and find something to do because it's a slow season and it's rough. Tell me more about the book. Where can people find it? How is it going? Like what kind of response have you heard from it? I saw some of the reviews on Amazon. It seems that some people are enjoying reading it. Kind of give us exactly what the book's all about and where you can find it.
Yeah, well, obviously, I'm the next Stephen King already if I'm getting podcast interviews. No, it's nothing like that. But honestly, I wanted to put a book out there just to help people in the same shoes that I was in. And I know so many people that are on this podcast right now are in the same shoes that I was in. My goal was always to help people get from that place where I was to this place where I am, where this job is fun and it's exciting and energizing, and I want to help you get there. So that was kind of always the purpose of this book, and then showing the strategies that we deployed along the way to help us get there. So the book is available on Amazon. It's both available through Kindle and by paperback. You just hop onto Amazon, search Shifting Gears, and it's probably like the third or fourth item down on the list. It's a yellow book with my name on it. Grab a copy of that book though. It's a ton of information, especially if you feel like you're one of those people stuck in second gear. I really think there's a lot of good value that you'd be able to pick up out of this book. And then if you're just beginning your marketing journey, the whole fourth gear of paid marketing, there's a lot of neat ideas that can help you build your email list, that can help you learn how to get those return visits. And so I want to encourage you guys that are out there. That's a great way to kind of get some initial ideas. And if you guys need more help with more ideas, just email me. Hit me with jake@presidentialbrewing.com. And I'd love to see what I can do to help you get to the fun part of brewery ownership.
The book's called Shifting Gears, The Ultimate Roadmap to Crafting Your Legendary Brewery and Restaurant. Jake Lohse, thank you so much for joining us on the Brewer Magazine podcast and sharing about it.
Yeah, thanks so much, John. It's been fun.
Don't forget, you can always check on brewermag.com. You can also see us on YouTube and listen to us on Spotify. And don't forget daily updates on Facebook, Instagram, and X. I'm executive editor John Seacott for brewermagazine.com.